You hear
What,
that
with the townspeople with pitchforks and torches?
hear that we're recording, you can begin the news.
Thank you, Steve. Good afternoon, everybody. It is Thursday, 1 February 2024, and this is a regular meeting of the Waterville Valley Select Board. I am Rich Rita, the chair, and also here today, Vice Chair Bob Freeze and Select Board Member Wendy Rathgeber. So we have a quorum. There's nobody here, so I guess there's no privilege of the floor. Approval of minutes. So I believe we have a change and an edited copy
So,
for November 16th. Something was left off.
yeah, and actually it was the first big set of minutes
Most-
that you were given.
Right.
All of those.
This is with
that
the
were
with
done
the AI. Okay.
They did not include motions.
Very
So we
strange.
have to go back to every one of those. And we have to include your motions and the results of the vote. The
Right.
reason that the November 16th one is important is that's the one with the floodplain.
Right.
So if you could approve the inclusion of that
Okay.
motion with the resolution. That you pass the resolution, that'll help
Okay.
with the 16th, and then if you want to just tell us how do you want us to handle the motions
Future.
in for the sets of minutes that you have approved
Right.
that did not include, do you want us to bring every set back to you? Or what do you want to
I
do?
wouldn't think unless there's a reason to.
Isn't that the most important thing in the minute?
Well, that's just it. That's why I wanted to find out how you wanted to
I'm
handle it.
afraid, yeah. I mean,
Do you
it's
want to
not,
have just like Rich review them all, and if there's a question on a motion, is that okay?
It's okay. with
managed
me.
to it administratively because, right.
Okay,
That's,
so,
that's fine. That's
all
fine.
right,
Yeah.
so
okay.
we
I don't
will-
mind reading it.
do this, and so we'll edit them, add in the minutes, provide a copy to Rich. And if he has a question, we'll bring a set of minutes back to you. Okay.
Very good.
All right.
Alrighty, so the one in front of us for 11/16/23. This was the motion made by the chair and seconded by Bob Freeze for the board to adopt the new FEMA maps and study pursuant to RSA 674:57.
Yeah.
Um,
And the resolution on the,
mhm.
I don't know, he didn't include that in the.
Are declared,
Insurance dated,
right,
we declare to be, okay, good, yes, that's the resolution,
okay.
thank you.
So the language that is now included in front of us is
Mhm.
the correct language that reflects
For the motion.
for the motion.
Mhm.
And reflects that motion and the vote to approve. Everybody okay with amending those minutes of 16 November to include? All right, let the record show that we have done so. Okay, and the January 4th regular meeting, did anyone have any further comments?
We'll have that motion, right, there, the
Is it-
motions in there, did you put the motions in for January 4th?
That was in
Minutes.
November.
Yeah,
No,
the
but the-
November one they just passed.
Yeah.
They're okay with that. On the set of minutes that Sharon was working on last with them, I don't think it has the motions in it yet, does it?
I wasn't aware that there was another set missing.
January 4th.
January.
Okay,
I
Yeah,
don't
that's
see
the
that.
one where we're looking to add the. capital
Yeah, we
account.
got the capital report. Let's table them
All right.
and bring them back. at the
All right.
next-
so we will
Because
table
Sharon's
the 4
away.
January 24 minutes.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
All righty, if we're done with the minutes, we can move to, hey, hello, Mr. Darrell, how are you?
Greetings.
Long time no see.
Mark invited me and I said, yeah, that's okay. And then I thought, you know what, I'm gonna.
That was
down
to
and
the 6 PM meeting, not
See what's
this.
going on and let them know I'm still alive.
Yeah. Thought you may have come for the donuts and coffee, but
Happy New
we
Year.
don't have any. Happy New Year to you too. All righty, let's move on to the financial update.
Uh,
I think there
Yes,
was,
and
you
I
got,
want
you
down.
had an opportunity to,
Yeah, so we do not put in, because the budget isn't approved or anything, we are just tracking expenditures.
right?
Steve and I went through expenditures year to date. It's about 849,000 in the operating account. And that includes the FEMA 50,000, approximately $50,000 for FEMA. And it includes $307,000 in debt service payments, which are our January bond payments. Subtracting out the FEMA and the bond
Mhm.
money leaves about 485,000 of normal operating expenses. Obviously, a lot of expenses with the highway department, with overtime, with salt and sand expenditures and things like that.
Our,
Huh?
our Primex insurance.
The Primex insurance payments are front loaded. Property liability. So the bottom line is we are on track. We have expended approximately 7% of our total budget for normal operating expenses, which is in line with the state limits
Mhm.
that we have before town meeting. And none of the departments, other than the normal heavy activity in the winter, none of the departments are overexpended. We're not making any capital purchases or anything like that
Until after town meeting.
until after town meeting.
Right.
So financially, we are tracking on the expenditures.
What is the 50,000 representing FEMA?
The 50,000 were the repairs, payments of bills from the repairs from the December 18th storm.
But the total FEMA amounts could be more than that.
Oh, it'll be more than that.
So we
That's
just
what
got-
we've spent
That was
in
out of
this
pocket?
year. That's our out-of-pocket expense for
24.
2024.
Right, we have. out
We
of
had,
pocket for-
we had,
Okay.
for 23 that were taken care of as of 12/31.
Okay,
And
Because
we
I
have a
noticed that
few, we have a few additional expenditures, which would be in this year's budget. Paving and things like that that we can't do right now.
I noticed in your letter to the town report, you referenced over 200,000 in FEMA.
No, it wasn't just FEMA, it was for the two storms. I was including in that, the monies we had spent to repair Snows Mountain Road after the, what was it, July or
Yeah.
April?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That forced us to have to spend, and that was about 120, I think.
Yeah.
So that's where that 250,000 came from.
Yeah.
At the time I wrote
Yeah.
it, so we're still roughly about 120
Around, I would think about
For-
120.
for December storm. Right,
Yeah.
right, so a chunk of that in 23. And now with this
And now
other
it'll be
50,000.
For 24.
24, and we're still waiting for,
Declaration.
The
declaration.
declaration. And Dave, were you telling me that the declaration, who was telling me that the declaration was tracking? Somebody, maybe it was Patrick. In looking at the declaration, they're tracking along. It could be even another month before we get the actual declaration.
oh, okay, wow,
Official, so it can be a period of time.
right,
So it's not out of the ordinary, it
Right.
isn't like. We
Right.
have to worry about it, yeah.
so the 2023 expenses related to the December storm. We took from, the bottom line,
2023 budget,
and so any money we get from FEMA will go into fund balance for that. And then the 50,000 or so now,
same thing, we
24.
did not budget anything.
right, so that's,
for it.
right.
So
okay,
the
So
20
it would reimburse us for our expenses this year,
right,
and then if we get additional monies, it would go.
fund balance,
So the 23 money is just listed as an expense
Correct,
as opposed to a receivable from FEMA, because we don't
correct,
know.
because we don't know,
Okay.
yep. And that's why we will we finished the budget in the black. So we'll close out as of December 31st, and like Rich said, when the money comes in, if there's more than whatever we end up spending this year, say it's $75,000 total,
Mhm.
and we get 150 back, then 75 will go to reimburse and
Yeah, the
75.
rest we
To the fund
split up
balance.
among the board.
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
want. Don't let's not joke about that at budget time. Yeah, let's not joke.
You don't
about
wanna, you don't wanna.
Split up everybody in the room.
Right.
that. See, you should come to the meetings. Bill got
That's right.
a piece of this.
Piece of the action. Alrighty.
All right.
So any questions on the financial update to this point? Alrighty. Department head updates. Let me go right to left for a change. So. Hello, Megan.
Hi, how are you all? Let's see, not in a while. PGW's just been busy with winter, making sure that the roads are clear. We've been thinking of other avenues for making sure that the sidewalks and the dips down, where the ADAs are not as clear as we would like them to be. Trying to figure out other avenues that we could take, besides snow blowing in, things like that. We had an incident the other week where there was some ice that came off of a dumpster and struck one of the guys in the face. Got a cut. Thankfully didn't get stitches, so he's doing better.
Oh, this is when they were picking up the
Yeah.
dumpster. Yeah.
The ice and snow came off my garage and both the hoods on my vehicles are
Oh, no.
crushed in a couple days ago.
Yikes. Been a rough winter. It's all just wet and heavy, so.
But it does serve as a good reminder for everyone to clear off their dumpsters.
Yes, please do.
We get calls all the time saying our dumpster wasn't empty due to the fact of it's just has a snowbank in front of the doors, they're frozen
Right.
shut, and
And that's always been a property manager
Mhm.
responsibility.
taking care of that. And if it gets taken care of, Mike does a really good job about going back around and
Right.
picking it up in a timely manner. But other than that, nothing really much going on.
How's the trash central facility going along with all the changes in schedule? Everything seemed to work okay?
Yes.
Modified schedules seem to work.
Work, so we're back now to
Steve, you didn't get a lot of calls.
no big issues, no little issues.
Only issues is, still the Airbnb, property owners are not leaving a sticker for their Airbnb guests, so, but they just show the reservation that they had and they've been getting through just fine.
We're gonna talk about the Snows Mountain Road under Dillon.
Yeah.
Okay, passing the buck.
It's a water issue, not a road issue, right?
That's it.
Well,
Now it's a road
Now
issue.
Now it's a
It
road
was
issue,
a one.
right? Nothing else in DPW? Good. Any questions? DPW, alrighty. So Dylan, what's happening on Snows Mountain Road?
So, I was made aware around 9:30 or so, 10 o'clock Friday morning, last Friday,
Mhm.
that there appeared to be water coming up through the road, so. One of the operators that works for me, took a sample, brought it back to the laboratory, immediately
Our water.
volumetric that it's chlorine, so. Isolated the line to make, to minimize any erosion and damage to the road. Was able to successfully get Ellie Johnston here in, I think about 2.5 hours from the time I called them, so it's pretty quick for them to mobilize, get all their equipment out here and start digging. I think they got here, like I said, around 12:30, 12:45, and shoveling the ground around 1. It was pretty deep, 9 feet down roughly, to the main, so that was, with the conditions that day, that the trench was pretty rough shape. So they were able to get in, get a repair band on it and get out, and backfill it, thankfully. It appears that there was a rock, good sized, pumpkin sized rock, right below the pipe, which is pretty typical for a Snows Mountain Road. And just over time with, the pressure being decreased and increased with the reservoir water use going on, that pipe will flex. And over time, through vibration as well, it just must have weakened the pipe enough to create a small hairline crack in it. And
That's all it
it's a
takes.
water main break, yeah.
Yeah.
So luckily, it's not super high pressure there. We're about halfway down into the valley floor. or else, you know, would have been significantly more erosion and wash out sinkhole in the road as well. But it wasn't too bad, so. But on the road end, we did what we could do. Lee Johnson brought in some processed asphalt to lay down on top of that, compact it in real good. And if we have to get some more, we know where we can get it, just to, you know, try to get that as close to being in good condition like the rest of the road is. It's unfortunate, but it's kind of bizarre that we had a water main break with the conditions we've got, because Ross was only about a foot into the ground, it wasn't deep. So it had to have been just, you know, constant degradation of the pipe over the years, so. But
Okay.
that's all I got for the water main. It's been plugging away lately. We had to do some maintenance in the wastewater treatment facility. It's just a partially plugged influent line from the lagoon into the facility, so we had to bypass that and clean a couple of mixers and put everything back online. Trying to think, I know we're gonna get to the meeting, I think that's in it. I didn't.
Yeah, we'll do that later. Yeah.
But otherwise, things are,
Well, ops are good.
yeah,
So Mark, the funds for this repair come out of the capital fund we have for road
Yeah,
maintenance.
road repairs.
So that's probably pretty low now, I'd imagine.
but we have a water.
No,
No.
we have a water system repair line. And this won't
Oh, okay.
Won't
All right.
be-
In the operating budget, you mean?
be a problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's funded sufficiently to handle breaks like this.
okay.
It's about a $20,000 repair.
I think it should be less than that.
It should be a lot less,
Yeah.
but at the worst, it would be
Okay,
20.
okay, good. Well, it just goes to show that,
It is? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know we got the
I didn't
invoice
see it.
already. Sorry. Yeah, no, it just surprised me because our usual repair around 6,000 or 7,000, so. Okay, yes, it's 20,000.
okay,
We got the invoice and we do have enough money.
to cover that.
What's the balance? What's the balance in that account? Do you remember?
70.
70.
Yeah, we've generally kept that very
Yep.
full because of especially because of Snows Mountain Road and the water breaks that we get there seems to be pretty
Yep.
regular, which I guess we have to keep our fingers crossed that we can, we still got another 2, 3, if not more years before we get to that.
That seemed like a lot,
Replacement.
$20,000.
I'd have to see how it's broken out. I don't know if it, again, I haven't even seen the invoice yet.
Do you remember the breakouts? Steve?
It's just the total.
Okay,
Yeah, why don't you explain that
Yeah,
next
we'll-
meeting, we'll have.
Just make sure we feel comfortable with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'd like to go back to Megan, though.
Please.
So I was in the cemetery the other day, as I do with my dog, take a walk, and I had never seen this before. I know that in the middle of the cemetery on the
Mhm.
upslope side, it's a typically wet
Very
area.
wet, yeah.
But I've never seen, the cemetery probably has, I don't know, 6 or 8 feet compacted. And there's an area about as big as these tables that was totally grass and sopping wet.
Mhm.
Which I found kind of unusual. I mean, I know it's a wet area, but
Yeah.
maybe because of the winter that we're having or something that. I thought I walked in and looked and went, wow, I never saw that before. And I walked up and it was just sopping wet.
Yeah. And that's not surprising, given the high water table and the water running off the top of the ground. What'd you say, 6 to 8 inches of frost?
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I think the water's just not getting into the ground.
My first reaction, it was coming from the old Sununu house and somehow they had a break up there, but there was.
No, it goes up and then down towards the,
Yeah,
Yeah.
in between, there's
Yeah.
no, there was no erosion at all.
No.
So it was just right in the
it's under the
cemetery.
ground, under the top of the ground.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We have been watching that area. It has been getting larger and larger over the past few years.
Yeah.
The rhododendrons have been like slipping down the hill
yeah.
because of
Mm.
because it's so wet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
we definitely have to keep, there's a couple of markers that keep getting covered up by grass,
Yeah.
just with it sliding down.
I know in the past, we've talked about, perhaps trying to purchase the land next to
Yeah.
the cemetery, see if we can't move down in that direction, but we've not really followed through. We've talked about it, but
Yeah, and we've also talked about drainage along that upper
as well,
edge.
right,
That was
But the problem is the installation of it. You can't get equipment
no,
in to actually dig the trench to put up like a French drain or something to move the water off to the side. We've asked contractors to look at that. And you'd have to build a little mini bridge, a crossing for the stream to get up behind on the uphill side of
yeah.
where he's talking about.
Mm.
It'd be pretty expensive to do that and very, you have to almost build a road there that
Yeah.
even a small machine needs some,
Is our boundary right at the top of the?
yeah, right where that
The ridge
row
kind
of
of thing.
rhododendrons
Yeah.
are.
Hmm.
Okay.
It would be nice to be able to go up the hill another 50, 100 feet or whatever.
Mhm.
Cause that's a pretty large hill
Yeah,
up towards the back of the old Sununu house.
but that's Forest Service land, right?
no.
No,
not.
it's private,
this-
it's there,
Oh, that one's-
it's that lot.
Oh,
It's
okay.
that lot for the house at the end of the cul-de-sac.
On the left, you're talking about on the
If
right,
you
No.
go down to the end of Cascade Ridge, there's a cul-de-sac.
right,
There's a house that is
right,
directly off.
it's that, okay, so it's up
that
above,
lot
right.
That goes
Yeah,
down
Goes right over the hill.
to the
Oh,
cemetery.
and all the way down to the
To the
cemetery,
cemetery.
Anyway,
But yeah, that is a place we need to watch.
well, we are getting bigger as a town too, I don't know. How many spaces are left?
it's quite a
I'd say
few.
we've got probably 60%
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
total lots
Yeah.
are available.
Still about 60, okay, so. Nothing to worry about in the near future,
Not in the, not in
Hopefully.
the near future.
right? Okay,
Good.
yep, Dylan, we finished with water and
I
wastewater,
don't have anything else to add.
okay,
You got a question?
okay. Administrative services,
Happy that February 7th is quickly approaching and budget prep is dwindling. So my past few months have been dealing with the 2024 town budget and I'm happy to say that it's coming along really well. All the department heads did a fantastic job, in my opinion, putting together their portion of the budget and see how the hearing goes. Outside of that, I've been working with, having conference calls with BSNA. They're gonna be our new financial software and human resources payroll software that will be onboarding on May 20th, hopefully. Assuming that everything goes well. So Judy and I have scheduled already a couple of site visits to some other communities in New Hampshire that are actively using BSNA. So we can just do some shadowing with their payroll and accounting personnel to see kind of how it looks live in their environment. Hopefully maybe get some best practices from them and how they use it and start creating some standard operating procedures around how we're gonna use this new software in our office. And in conjunction with that, I'm also working with our IT services provider to get all of our data that's on our physical server upstairs into a cloud environment. Our liaison with that company just sent an email to all the department heads today, kind of a preliminary email to get everyone used to, what that's gonna look like. And also give all of the department heads an opportunity to provide some commentary on how they would like it to see, just from a visual standpoint. And, outside of that, it's pretty much business as usual in administration.
questions? Nothing, good, all righty. Chief, what's going on in DPS?
Listen, we had a good week for, World Cup. We staffed up for it. It was probably a little less lackluster than, people than what we expected, but that's okay. we'll take it.
Hmm.
Been busy on the inspection side. We did 4 CO inspections and 20 other inspections just in the last 14 days. Since we last meet, we're preparing for, and I see later on the agenda, ski joring. I don't know if you wanna wait. We can
Yeah, we'll wait.
talk about that. There is we were, contacted by the Mad Fox Trail Fest. That's gonna be doing a trail running event here on June 22nd, 23rd. And it's, same folks that do it at Gunstock, so it's a 2-day event. There's a kids race, a 6-mile loop, half marathon, and a 10K. And then on Sunday, they do a elevation race where they run up to Tecumseh. It's like 2, 4, 6, and 8 times, up to like 12,000 feet. They've asked for EMS details for both days, which I think we can accommodate that. It doesn't seem like there's anything on the police side for that, and I'm not sure what the numbers might look like. Should be no road impact, because like I said, it's a trail race. So most of all their stuff is gonna be on the trails. There is one small section on West Branch during the half marathon. But I think with on-duty personnel and stuff, we can handle that.
So they give us insurance certificates and
Well, that's if they're gonna be using.
They're not, if they're
It's
not
all-
on town
Is it
land.
Forest
Yeah.
Service,
then
all
they-
Foreign Service?
Yeah, I think it sounds like most of it's gonna be run out of town square. Like the start and stop.
so they get Forest Service permits.
They would have to get Forest
Yes.
Service permits and they'd have to coordinate with the resort.
So we're just in the preliminary with them. I do have just a quick info sheet I can share with you. MadFoxTrailFest.com has all their advertising, so. It's on there. Coffee with a Cop on Tuesday up at the Base Lodge. Just preparing for vacation week and in preliminary plans with Special Olympics in anticipation of Winter Games at the end of New Hampshire week. Looks like they're still gonna have opening ceremonies on that Sunday night with the cruiser parade, and then most of the activities happening on Monday,
Is
Tuesday.
that the 18th? Or is it the next
No,
week?
It's the next
beginning.
week,
The
it's
next week.
March,
Yeah.
like right at the beginning of March, like
Okay.
March 1st, 2nd, or right in that. Whatever that Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, at the
Okay.
end of New Hampshire week is. We did have an untimely cardiac arrest event yesterday up on Triple I Road. Way up at the height of land.
Hmm.
Had ski patrol was the initial response for that. And we assisted. There was just too much time that had passed before. There's no cell service up there, so the gentleman was a 60-year-old male from Lincoln. Was with his wife skinning up and cross-country skiing. She had to ski down to get to cell service, and there had been we had worked him probably well over 40 minutes by the time we got to him. And unfortunately, we had to call it. So we worked with the medical examiners and state police, because it was technically in Livermore where it was, but we were able just to coordinate the rescue efforts. Ski patrol was very helpful in that, in providing us a ride to be able to even to bring the equipment and drugs up there to make those efforts, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. Applied for the BRIC for updating our hazard mitigation plan. I was able to get that in through the state, and that plan has to be updated every 5 years through the state, and there's a grant match, and it's usually an in-kind match from us. And that's something we'll just work out with the department heads when just a few meetings, and we hire an outside contractor to put that plan together. I'll also be working with one to update our emergency operations plan, which hasn't been updated since 2015. So, and we'll be working on our AFG grant, just opened on Monday for air packs, and so I'm just waiting through all the preliminary things that we need to do before we start that application. But other than that, any questions?
Amanda's now a regular cop, and
She is, so she's on, she's in the phase of FTO that she's on her own. But there's still a supervisor on with her. So she's running primary on all the calls, she's making motor vehicle stops on her own, she's doing everything that needs to happen, but there's always a supervisor there to help her out. She'll be totally off FTO, we anticipate beginning of March. But she's out there doing it, she's doing very well. The EMT course, we did have an EMT class here. We may have more classes here, either on Mondays or Wednesdays, just for the in-class portions, just because it's a little bit more space. They do have a full class, they have 12 students, so they'll be meeting here, and of course, we'll coordinate to make sure there's no conflicts with them. But she's in that class, we're working that into her regular schedule, so.
Anything else for David? Nothing. All right, thank you. Hello, Brooke.
Hi. Last week we of course had the voting. Tuesday it's busy time. And then also on Thursday, we had the travel and tourism seminar that we went to.
Mhm.
Our sponsor for, there were just under 100 attendees. Mark spoke on behalf of the sponsorship because most of the resort was busy up at World Cup. They did send one person as a representative. The event went well, and hopefully some of you saw some of the things going on with that over social media and whatnot. This weekend, we were fairly slow at the rec department. I think mainly because there were no hockey teams in town. But we did have a successful hike. We've had a lot of successful snowshoes on Tuesdays. That's been going really well. Was it last week or the week before? I went to a school board meeting and I did ask the school board, or I presented sort of the dilemma that we have right now, which is a lack of space for pickleball. Our pickleball situation right now is, you know, has increased tremendously. We're now offering it 10 times per week. I added 2 more sessions just this week, just completely maximizing the time I can. So I presented this to the school board that we are going through this sort of struggle, and, you know, asked if perhaps we could, they could consider letting us use the gym 2 or 3 times a week from 1 to 3 p.m., which they did prior to COVID. They responded that they wouldn't give me an answer at that time. So I guess I'm just waiting to hear.
Mhm.
What else is going on? We're getting.
On that issue, I had the sense that it was, what they were mulling over, was, participation by non-residents or
That's right, they did.
property
ask me-
owners.
They did ask me what the percentage was, for residents versus people that are, you know, coming in from different areas, and it's about 60% people coming in from different areas and about 40% resident taxpayers, so, yeah, they did ask for that information, that's right.
Could you run it in the? Well, I know you could run it, but would it make sense to run pickleball in the afternoons if you restricted it to residents / taxpayers? Is that doable?
Sure, I mean, we could easily, you know, offer that time period strictly to residents and taxpayers, from the 1 to 3 spot, is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, that would be possible, I'm not sure how that would affect people's wishes, I mean, everyone, you know, the players don't really care where they live, because they all like to play together. But maybe, I mean, we obviously have plenty of players that we could say, okay, the 1 to 3 time slot is only for residents and taxpayers.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
well, I'm wondering if that would
and
relieve,
alleviate, yeah,
Right.
some of the other sessions.
And-
let's get this, the school board get back to us with that
Yeah.
comment, rather than us suggesting it.
Yeah.
See what they say.
Right, yeah, I mean, they didn't really say that they were gonna respond to it, they just said they weren't gonna give me an answer then, so.
Yeah, it's a difficult thing to delineate between a second homeowner property, property owner, second homeowner versus someone who lives in Thornton year round. I mean, how do you?
It's not hard for me,
No, I mean, as far as looking at what their concerns are. The school board's
Yes.
concern.
very
Yes.
good point, yeah,
I mean, it'd be better if they just opened it up for anybody.
yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
In the past, that has been, I think, the basis of their concern. Our security was that non-taxpayers, non-residents
right.
would be in the facility during the school day, so just trying to think through a way to help alleviate, as you said,
Yeah.
your issue, and maybe help them find a way toward, allowing use.
In addition to pickleball, we of course have cycling, which we've talked about, but that's not having this urgent pressing thing like pickleball is, I mean.
Right.
You know, I'm having a really hard time accommodating all the demand, with the 3 courts.
Did people make a reservation before they showed up, or did they just show up?
No, they have to. Now we've gotten to a point where
Oversubscribed.
it's a requirement. There's an app that we use that's common for pickleball. That has a, yes, you're coming, no, you're not coming, or you're on a wait list. And then if someone moves out of the yes, then the wait list person will move over. I mean, it's a huge piece of my job right now, which normally is a small piece of my responsibilities, and now it's become a much larger piece of the pie for me. But it is short term because this huge demand is generally from late December through March, and then people generally go elsewhere. Then it starts to get nice outside. People prefer to play outside, so it is a short window of time that this is a problem. A good problem, but a problem.
As of now, but I mean, it started earlier.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
it started the week of Christmas, that vacation week break. That's when it's.
Basically, it's a 3-month
Yes.
issue, roughly.
And I expect this will be the case for next year and all years going forward until someone else builds a indoor pickleball courts. And I've been under the impression that Owl's Nest would be doing that, but I recently learned that I don't think they have plans to. So I don't know who's gonna save us.
Okay. Well, I think the next school board meeting is at 5:45, a week from today, on February 8th. So.
I had a thing about the school board. I prepared a letter to them, and I haven't sent it in yet because we were drafting, requesting access to their video system in emergencies for our dispatch centers and the Central Manager Special Operations Unit. There's been we asked the school, they said they will not give us permission yet unless the school board approves it, and I guess it's an issue, there's a privacy issue, they feel, SAU wide, for granting this access, so I've prepared a letter, both Pat and I have, and I haven't shared it yet, because I'm not quite satisfied with the language in it, but I'll share it, with Mark as soon as I do that, but I just wanted to put it out there that our position is, we shouldn't be asking permission at the time that there's an emergency to have access to that video, if need be. And this is only during an emergency.
Yeah.
This is not daily. This is not if a crime happens in there, we still have to do our requests. This is only in emergency situations. Our dispatch center does this for 4 other schools. They log in at like 6 a.m., make sure that they can actually see that it's working, and they log out. And so it's nobody's monitoring it. It is just if there's an incident.
So just prior permission to immediately access
Permission to
the video
be able-
feed.
Yep.
It's not actual monitoring during the school day.
No, we would, and this would mostly be not even for us, but for the police dispatch and the fire EMS dispatch.
Sure.
And or the SWAT team if they needed it.
Mhm.
Well, their next meeting is, as I said, 5:45 on the 8th, a week from today. Do you think you'd have something by then?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go to that meeting.
Yeah, I was planning to go too, just to raise the issue of the pickleball,
Mhm.
see if they come to a decision. And as I said, see if there's a way to facilitate usage and also alleviate the concerns they have about usage during the school day.
Yeah, I
Okay.
read the Uvalde report was just released by the
That's right.
Department of Justice.
That's right, yeah,
And they listed a number of issues, things, preventative measures that could have been remedied, and that was one of the issues, you know, access to the video.
having
system.
prior permission to immediately,
Yeah.
Turn it on.
It's not practical for us during an emergency to have to go through and ask permission to access that.
I think the board will be in favor of your letter and request.
Yeah.
And I'll provide copy.
Okay. All right,
Couple more
anything
things.
else? Yeah, please.
So we are right now planning for the Massachusetts Vacation Week and also New Hampshire. New Hampshire's a little bit, you know, smaller planning for us.
Yeah,
we
could you,
will be-
could you just remind the dates? Make sure everyone is,
The week of the 19th.
the week of the 19th, that's the mass,
Yeah,
Mass.
that's.
19
President's
February.
Day. We start, well, the weekend before starts it, so. we
Right.
have Full of activity, evening activities.
starting the 17th.
Yeah.
Through the, 24th,
25th, but then it
25th,
goes right
right.
into New Hampshire week.
Right.
Which we are right now. We're looking at doing something a little different. New Hampshire week, we tend not to get as much participation. A lot of families here go elsewhere. The Massachusetts families aren't here during the week. So what we're proposing this year is we're trying to see if there's interest in the after-school families, if they'll be in town, enough of them for us to run a little 3-day camp or something during the day. So we're right now trying to gauge that interest. So we'll let you know what happens with that. But otherwise, it'll be a pretty, you know, obviously pickleball will stay the same. I mean, all the things that people
Right.
are coming for.
but during the New Hampshire school week, you do get access to the gym during the day,
Yes, we
yeah.
do. But
Okay.
unfortunately, we don't have very many people coming because a lot of the families leave, or they're skiing. I mean,
Right.
It's not like
Okay,
the
yeah.
number of people coming up here looking at it as a vacation, you know.
Right.
We also have the Special Olympics. They did contact me again, and they will be using the gym and the facility for their check-in, their welcome barbecue. There'll also be, you know, we're sort of providing them with the beer factory activity that they do. So that'll be fun. We love hosting them. And
What was the date of that again?
I believe that's March 3rd week.
Third week. Yeah, that's a Sunday, March,
It's right here, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Yeah, so I think it's the.
Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah, the welcome piece is on Sunday.
Okay.
And then hiring, I mean, we're really coming up with some plans. We're trying to come up with some new, fresh ideas.
Mhm.
Trying to, get some, make sure that we are all taken care of with that. Trying to get creative.
I know we talked in the budget discussions about the hourly rate. Are you comfortable that we're gonna be competitive?
I think so, yeah.
Still.
I feel that we have made great strides in, you know, becoming more competitive. It's just a matter of, you know, competing with all the other.
Right, for part-time summer help.
Yeah, so we're just trying to think of outside of the box of who to contact, where do we look for these folks? We do have a number of people coming back, we think, from last year, so it's not, you know, desperate by any means, but there were some supervisor positions that we're looking specifically to fill this summer that we weren't able to fill last summer, which had a big impact on us as a staff. So that's about it.
Anything else for Brooke and Rec? Okay,
The assessors were here yesterday. They were
always
doing-
nice to have them
They were
visit, right?
doing, well, three things that they worked on, pickups for new
Right, Which is good.
building
Yeah,
permits.
we like
and
that.
All of that, that's good. They also did an initial ratio study. Just looking at our sales data. So we'll have a formal report
Right.
from them.
Well, we know that's gonna be roughly
It's
Yeah.
tracking the same,
as the
there's,
states.
there has been, as we looked at last
Mhm.
year, we're still down in the 29, 28, 29% level, so. But the statistics are good, the data is very, consistent. So there aren't sales all over the place. So the
Mhm.
changes that we make, we're looking at being applicable basically across the board at this point, so.
So they get the pickups and then they will be doing the statistical,
Yeah, that's part
evaluation
of the
sometime.
statistical
Cool.
update, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I just, question just popped in my head, for Dave, are you getting a sense of what might be coming our way, via building permits this spring, summer? Still, Quiet.
I think there's a few single families that we'll probably see, but as far as anything else, no big projects I don't anticipate. But there's a few single families that have done some site prep.
Just on the
Mhm.
assessor's side, the majority of the value from the condos,
Green
That
Peak
have been
and.
Green Peak and Villas, will be a lot of that value will be reflected in
So they get
the
added into the,
24 tax
Good.
assessment.
Yeah, I would think it might slow down just a little bit, but who knows?
It also will depend on the pending applications to the planning board from the spring.
right,
We got the two bigger projects that might be in front of the board. So
which ones are those?
that would be the housing,
The housing, yeah.
the housing building.
Right.
From the resort.
Right.
And then Craig's, anything that Craig.
Wants to do in his maintenance there, so those two are still on the near-term horizon as
Yeah.
far as we know.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the only two that I anticipate for this year.
Mhm.
Anyway.
Alrighty, yeah, please.
Well, Bill's here, want to talk about roads for a minute?
Yeah, we're having, we just had a meeting actually of Dylan, Megan and I with Bill to talk about projects.
Mhm.
We're looking at, the, completion of the existing Snows Brook Road project in the early spring. We've got the list that we shared with you with Osceola Road,
Right,
Jennings Peak,
that's this one right here, right,
Golden Heights,
and Jazinski.
and Jazinski intersection to be the projects for 2024. We've made Megan and I have had an initial conversation with John Bosquet at Piper Construction. And Bill and Megan will be going around with John to get his final proposed numbers for those roads for 2024. And our intent would be to, when they come into town in the spring, which they told us sometime before Memorial Day, to work on the Snows Brook
Finish,
completion, that they would then start those roads. And John indicated that depending on, what they see when they do the field walk with Bill, I think that can happen earlier in the year.
It looks to me like Boulder Path is getting more and more beat up.
Mhm.
Well, that was the next thing. So now that we had your decision on the TAP grant, we have a proposal here from Josh McAllister to do the design work this summer. We'll have to make a decision on what we're gonna do with water and sewer lines for Snows Mountain because it directly impacts that, but
That's our HEB, right, Josh?
HEB is Josh.
Ah,
So
now we know why we got this free calendar,
yeah, exactly.
okay,
It's because of this right here. So, this is his proposal to do Valley Road to West Branch Road, to do Boulder Path between those two roads.
right,
Same basic design
Right,
as the Snows Brook Road work
What
that
we
they're
did
doing
last year.
right now, last year. And also in this agreement is additional upfront work, existing condition work. So looking at drainage and those sorts of
Mhm.
things in more detail than they did with Valley, Tecumseh and Snows Brook. So this is for 92,000 is his proposal to do that work. All the design work, the preparation of bid contract
Mhm.
documents. And get us to bid, through bid and evaluation.
By the
So
end of the year.
this would be
into-
everything, this would be done this summer.
Right,
And then we would have a project package to put out to bid
for 25.
for the, probably for the fall, but for construction in 25.
So, can we patch up, Boulder Path
We-
enough? I mean, it's pretty rough.
Yeah, it is, and
There's a
we
lot,
can
a
do,
lot of spots.
Plans, to get more cold patch and throw it in the questionable areas.
Okay, yeah.
and then we could make some very temporary patches, but
Okay,
I
yeah.
wouldn't want to do, I don't want to do too much if
Right.
we're, if
But
we're
it's
gonna
just-
commit to doing 25.
It's just getting pretty tough.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is, it is.
Well, I think that the major issue in timing would be how do we deal, as you mentioned, with the sewer line issue and the water
Yeah,
issue, the water line issue.
Yeah.
For Snows Mountain Road,
correct.
how that's gonna play into this year's town meeting. I
It won't
think,
be anything with this year's town meeting.
not for Boulder Path, but the approval
The approval of the
for the $100,000 as
for
a capital
engineering.
reserve account for
Correct.
engineering for that.
Mhm.
And so if that goes forward, that engineering would also be going on in
Hopefully this
24,
summer.
this summer.
But again, I don't know that we can get all the engineering done for water and sewer lines.
That I would imagine that's
In
much
one
more,
summer.
that would be
It's
much
gonna
more
be more
expensive.
expensive. Or more
Extensive.
extensive,
Extensive, right, but
because you have state permitting that goes along with that.
but we don't wanna be rebuilding Boulder Path if we're gonna be potentially tearing up parts of it again, right? So that's a little bit of a dilemma,
would
so we
be
need
the
to, we
dilemma.
need to think through, sit down or whatever.
But this work by HEB, I think we should
Yes,
commit to this.
yes,
Because no matter what we put under the road,
right,
we need, this is for
road.
the road
the road, right,
surface. And the design of that and the drainage.
Yeah.
And so I think we should move forward with this.
But that
This-
doesn't include the sewer and water.
This does not include the sewer and water, and I don't, until we get a decision by town meeting on the $100,000 number. I don't, we can't really make a commitment. We're gonna have to decide if we're gonna have somebody like Black and Veatch who's working on our system already do that design work, or whether we're gonna put it out to bid and get
So
another.
this 92 doesn't come out of the 100,000 that's on the.
It does not.
no,
No, this is out of our existing 1.3 million that we have.
right,
left
for road work,
For
right,
road
for
work.
road, right.
So if you're okay with it, I'll sign this contract and get Josh started.
How does the 92 compare to the cost of the,
Yeah, I did talk about that. Our previous, all of the other work that we
Yeah.
had done was somewhere around 150 to 160,000
right,
for all that engineering. The thing this adds, so this is higher, but that engineering was done 3 years ago. So you have
Okay.
some inflation.
Yeah.
And the existing conditions work that he details in here is a major addition that he did not do a lot of in the prior work.
and that will
And-
save money in the
And
next
For all
step.
the
Bill, do you
drainage.
wanna just mention
Mhm.
that, cause you talked about that?
Yeah, so the work that we're doing now, the contract, the Snows Brook contract, that was, most of that analysis for the structures was done using the Horizon Road report, the old report.
Mhm.
And as we discovered, there were a lot of things that weren't in that we had to deal with. So now HEB will be doing the field work and the, survey work, so it'll all be current. And so what that usually results in, or hopefully will result in, is far fewer changes.
Right, and more increased costs,
And.
it'll be already built
less
in,
Cost
we'll,
increases.
we'll know out front,
6 change orders. We had 6 change orders.
because of things discovered as
Because
it
of
went
things
through,
that we
The things that,
discovered.
right,
the Horizon report
did not pick
didn't
up.
cover and,
Right.
we didn't know about, so.
Well, and there was more modifications that didn't require change orders. just
Right, we did
add on
field
as well.
changes
There was
as
field
well.
changes that Bill was able to.
Right,
Thank
yeah,
you.
we did a lot of field engineering.
Yeah, when was that Horizons report completed?
2018,
Okay.
2019, something. It was a few years ago.
Yeah, so they just missed things, or it wasn't requested to be as.
It wasn't
in-depth as-
requested as in-depth. They
Okay.
didn't do a lot of subsurface work. They didn't do extensive drainage calculations. It was just the
Right.
road surface and those estimates.
Estimate from HEB include engineering of the road on Snows Mountain.
No,
Okay, so I mean, that would be something that.
that'll be separate under the 100,000.
100,000, we're waiting for town
We're waiting for
approval,
town meeting. Correct.
right,
This
Well-
is just Boulder Path.
right. Do you want to go with it, or do you want to look at it, and we're gonna
No.
come back next Monday or Tuesday, I'm fine with it, but.
Yeah, no, I think it makes sense.
Right.
The only other question is, how does this mesh then with what's happening with the Snows Brook in terms of if we decide to go with water and sewer?
On Snows
Well,
Mountain.
on Snows
Yeah.
Mountain, will what HEB is doing also be able to jive and help us figure that out?
Yes,
how-
this is just the surface, so we would be able to take this work and integrate in whatever comes out of Snows Mountain
Right.
Road.
Okay,
Out of the end
Okay.
of it. And just work it in. We may have to do work at the actual intersection between the two engineering firms, which
Mhm.
may be a little bit more on this, but I don't think it'll be
Right.
extensive.
okay,
I mean, I think the issue, it really, I mean, we will be doing water
right.
for Snows Mountain, right? The question is whether or not sewer
Correct.
would be
So
part of
we'll,
it,
we'll be
Right.
doing water in the road.
right? And water
The
doesn't,
Question is.
doesn't go down Boulder Path, right? No,
It
water.
does
go-
not. It
Right.
does not go down
Right
Boulder
now.
Path right now.
It wasn't, it's in the golf course.
It's on both
Across.
sides of the
On
golf
both
course.
sides.
Yeah, I mean, I
Both
think we
sides.
can see it,
Yes.
Yeah,
the
it's
water-
that water system map there.
Right there.
I mean, the only thing that I would, and it's just something to consider maybe, is that if they're gonna be doing the engineering work for Boulder Path, doesn't make sense to talk to them about doing Snows Mountain. For existing conditions at least. Maybe not, I don't know, just an idea, if they're gonna be in that area, it might give us some background information into what we could run into when we, before we, because we're gonna have to put this out for a proposal, find an engineering firm to do the water. I don't know enough about HEB to know if they do water and sewer.
I don't,
Think they
I don't think they do. I can ask Josh.
because if they're, it would be nice to have everything done
Mhm.
in-house, so that way there's
Sure.
no surprises.
Sure, and we will have hopefully the approval of town meeting to go ahead and expend some
Mm-hmm.
of that. 100,000, well, that is the engineering.
Mhm.
So I mean, it could be an add-on to this, or it could be something else, right?
How extensive is the Horizon review of Snows Mountain?
Not, again, it's conceptual. It's not,
Okay. So they're not,
it was not in any detail.
could we add that to that contract maybe?
We can.
Something to consider.
Okay, so we're good with,
We're good with
moving
this one.
forward with the HEB, engineering contract, for Boulder Path, hopefully to get to it in 2025. Anything else on roads? Bob, was there anything else you wanted to raise? I know, Bill, anything else?
No,
Mark,
I think
anybody
that
else?
that's,
Roads?
well, you also talked about transfer station. Work that we'll do as part of the transfer or the treatment facility project and. A little bit of work with the White Mountain National Forest. Bill's gonna help us with the Form 1. Application for this fall for the septic. So.
Okay,
We
great.
will talk about that in more detail.
Okay, we get to that,
Yep.
okay. Alrighty, I think we're done with the department head updates. If no one has any other comment or question, we can move on to a calendar review. So this evening at 6 p.m., we have the second of our budget information meetings. This one's gonna be on the CIP in particular, but any budget questions are fair game at 6 p.m. here. Presentation by the town manager, Mark. And this is, of course, leading to the required legal budget and bond hearing we have to have, and that will be on February 7th
Mhm.
at 6:15 p.m. at the school gym. So we're also looking at having a special select board meeting either next Monday or Tuesday for a non-public on a personnel matter, and anything anything left over, it comes up between now and then, left over from this agenda, it comes up from now and then, so either of those dates still work for you guys, and if so, is there a good time?
Either one works for me.
If it's Monday, I would just request if we could do it in the morning or after 5, which won't be ever well, I know.
So in the morning, Monday. Yeah, in the morning, Monday is
Yeah.
good with me, and Tuesday, it would have to be the afternoon for me. So either Monday morning or Tuesday afternoon,
Yeah.
anybody have
And
any?
if it were later afternoon on Tuesday, try and get a block of time there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
either
I-
works.
Need it to be later, because we've got the lawyers from our treatment facility. New legal
Team,
team is
right.
gonna be here in the morning,
Monday?
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
No, that's March 6th,
Oh, I thought it was February 6th.
so March 6th.
Oh, we got plenty of time, I got all
All
day
right,
on.
so either Monday
Tuesday.
morning or Tuesday afternoon.
Tuesday afternoon.
I think, if it's Tuesday, yeah, is there a particular time, 3? Is that too early? 4?
Um,
What works for you?
3 or 4, 4 would be better.
4 is good. Is 4 okay
Or
with you?
Tuesday.
All right, so 4 on Tuesday, 6 February for our special select board meeting.
Awesome.
Down, put it in my calendar. So it's 2/6 at 4 o'clock. All right. Let's see, I already mentioned the town bond and budget hearing. Planning board meeting is on 8 February. A lot happening next week at 8 a.m. here. The school also is presenting their bond and budget hearing at the school gymnasium on the 8th at 6:15. So it'll be the day after the town bond and budget hearing. And our next regular select board meeting is February 15th. And I think considering moving it to 3 would make sense.
Yeah, I just.
Since
am
you will
gonna
not be,
here.
you won't be here, you'll be out for,
I'll be on Zoom for that meeting.
right, you're taking some vacation, several
Maybe.
weeks, maybe,
Hopefully.
yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, so can we move it back to 3 p.m. on that day? That way the department heads will be here, since we don't require them to come at 5 o'clock. Plus, the other thing too is that it's that one of those cycles where we have a 3-week gap, right?
Yeah.
So our next meeting wouldn't be until
March 8th, March
whatever,
7th or
something
8th,
like that, yeah.
March 8th
So,
at 3 p.m.
and that's getting real close to
Yeah.
things such as town meeting. All right, so we'll do 3 p.m. on the 15th.
Yeah.
Anything
Yeah,
else? for
one of
the-
the things we're gonna need to
Mhm.
make sure of when we have the meeting next week, we're gonna be finalizing, or after the budget meeting.
On
we're
the
gonna
7th?
need- On the 7th.
Right.
We're gonna need half an hour or whatever, because we need to finalize the warrant.
The warrant,
Sure.
we can do that right after
We can do it
the
right after.
right
the
then and
hearing,
there.
We don't make any changes.
substantive
Yeah.
changes. You
Yeah.
guys good with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
If we do make changes,
If if we change anything with the bonds, we would have to hold another hearing.
Okay,
If we make a substantial change in the budget, then you should do another
Right.
presentation, but
gotcha, okay.
we've never really, since I've been here, I don't think we've changed.
I think we've eliminated, right? I
We've
think
taken off.
Taken off,
There are, if you
Okay.
take off, but if you add something to the,
right, or make
Oh, I
a
see.
substantial change to a
That
number or
makes sense.
something, right?
Okay. Gotcha.
Alrighty, so. Nothing with the calendar review. Let's move on. Speaking of, got a new business in the draft town warrant articles. So, just want to get everybody's opinion of what they are now. I had a couple comments.
yeah, we've included all the, do you have a copy of the updated one? Okay, so we put the language in so that you can see it for the amendments. Those are all finalized as of last night. The
Okay,
planning board held their last hearing.
Okay,
Okay,
Um,
so it's gonna,
yeah.
we're gonna actually have the wording in here.
You're gonna
For
have
the
the
planning
wording in
board,
here.
yeah.
Yeah, no, this was just a placeholder, so,
yeah. I mean, do you want to talk about it on the 6th? We can quickly.
Yeah.
We'll see the updated version. Or are you okay with what we have in front of us?
well, the thing, if you can, we can put
We can
it
make-
on the
right.
agenda for the
In
6th.
case, we have
Okay,
any other
but
issues.
Let's
Let's go
just
through
go
it now.
down through quickly. So
Okay.
you've got the Article 12 and Article 13 are required to be the first things
Right,
on the warrant because of the bond
Bonds, yeah.
issues. Okay, so those are fixed in place.
right.
The 14th
If I
is,
just go back to
yeah.
13, just one thing, second line, I think you mean associated, not
second
associate
line.
equipment.
Yes,
Second line,
associated.
associated equipment.
Yep.
Okay.
In a lot of these, we refer to it as selectmen.
Yeah, I had the same
Yeah.
thing. Change it to select board
Okay,
Yeah.
and just a global
The-
replace.
yeah, I will, on Article 13, the first selectman to issue, that's the language in the statute. So I'm
Okay.
gonna leave that, but I will say that on all of them, the select board recommends.
Right, just change selectmen
Okay,
to
so I'm
select
gonna
board.
change it to select board on all of them.
Right, except we're required to have
Except
specific
it's-
language.
right.
Uh, through law. Yeah.
Yep. Okay,
Oops. Go ahead, I think I interrupted.
yeah,
your-
so Article 14 is $100,000 capital reserve account. That language is from the statute as well.
Okay,
The Article 15, $75,000 from a grant. So the town portion is $3,750, 71,000 from
mhm,
the state. 16, $25,000 to the solid waste capital reserve account. Funds from general taxation. Article 17, we have changed, you'll see. Megan has done some additional work and we have a lower number for the purchase of the plow truck. So we're at now 176,000 instead of 210.
Okay.
Nice.
Just found a different dealer to work with.
Great.
So that lowered the annual appropriation in the 4-year lease to 44,000 instead of 70,000. This is from fund balance, no amount from general taxation. Article 18, the 66,000 for the van, it was, I know it was 60. That was my error, should have been 65. And when you total up the 16,500 for the financing for over the 4 years, it's actually $66,000 total. So we should be good to go with that. The Article 19, and that again is coming from the fund balance, no taxation. The 35,000 capital improvements to
Sorry,
buildings.
Sorry, can I just ask a question on
Mhm.
using the fund balance for a lease?
Yeah,
So that means we're assuming in the subsequent years, we'll have the fund balance.
no,
Or the-
but the subsequent years you can fund however you want. It's this year's
understand.
amount
Okay,
that's being committed from the fund balance.
okay. Thank you.
Good question, thank you. 35,000 for town buildings, which includes replacement of the Cascade Ridge Pump Station roof, purchase of a new storage shed at Packard's Field, and repair and maintenance of the drains in the fire department vehicle bays. Funding from fund balance. The 55,000 for Article 20 is for repairs to the town dock and waterfront facilities, continued engineering for the dredging project. That's also a fund balance number. No amount from general
So we're
taxation.
gonna have to put that out to bid for the dock repairs.
We can, sure. Yeah, we will. I mean, I don't have anyone
We're not
in
gonna do it
particular in
in-house.
mind. Well, it's Trex. Do you have a company that you've talked to when we got the number?
No, I don't.
Yeah, so we can put it out to bid. We can see if it fits into the work plan in-house. But that I haven't determined that yet. All right, and then the rest, that's 20,000 of that, and then 35,000 for the continued engineering. Article 21, $25,000 to replace solid waste dumpsters. That's also a fund balance amount. No taxation. And then Article 22 starts the actual general taxation numbers.
Mhm.
62,000 for the police cruiser. Article 23, 36,000 for the payment of the second year of a 3-year lease. And my choice of these projects for the different funding sources was trying to get within that $200,000 number for the fund balance. I mean, we can change any of these that you want.
Source, right.
But
But
that's
historically,
why
we've
I
used
hit-
the-
well, historically, or I
Right.
think the guidance we talked about was using about 200,000.
Right,
So this is how they fit in, so. So that was the second year of the 3-year lease for the skid steer. 62, Article 24, 62,000 for the purchase and installation of the SCBA compressor.
With that, is there a reason not to put it after the other breathing apparatus?
Again, I tried to put all of the fund balance use up front.
Hmm.
You can move that around if you want that to be a different number, that's fine.
I was just wondering if it would cause confusion for people voting, if they don't understand. Didn't we just vote on that? Cause you
Yeah,
said
that's
breathing
fine.
apparatus.
Sure, so I would move that up to
The one-
Article 16 and move everything else down.
Yep,
So
Yeah.
is that some, I must have forgot about that one. Was that something that's always been with us, the 62,000?
In the CIP, yeah, that was
Oh.
in the CIP.
I just didn't remember it. You guys remember that? Even if,
I just remember breathing apparatus. Yeah, I guess I'm.
I'd have to go back and look at the number. I know we agreed on several of these from the different departments, but I'd have to check again.
I just don't remember that one. But
Because these all came out of that discussion we had on the ones we wanted to go forward with.
Right, cause you need the compressor to be able to fill. the
Right
new-
now, the compressor does not work.
Right,
we go down to Campton now to fill it,
Right.
right?
Yeah. And I think that's the conversation that we had during Dave's presentation, was the fact that he had to go down to Hampton to
But,
do it.
you know, but 62,000 is a pretty big number. I don't know.
Mhm.
Hmm.
It's the one that we,
It really, hampers us for training, even training purposes, you know, we run training. We then have to. load all the
There
procedures.
was an issue with the grant opportunities and what, there was some question about the bottles and the air pack systems with 75,000.
Right,
And the money for the compressor and what was going to be eligible for the grant program. So that may have been part of the discussion as well, because we weren't sure what was gonna be eligible and what wasn't. So,
So originally it was supposed to, it was gonna be covered on, we were gonna go after that under the AFG grant, the Assistance to Firefighters grant. That we typically had applied for the air packs for the last 2 years. We went to an information session with FEMA. And FEMA said, don't even try to put, these are a list of only the things that they're funding. And the compressor was not one of them. So what we did was put the air packs back into the AFG for grant funding. That's the 75,000.
Yeah.
And kick the compressor out.
of
and
the
put it
grant
in.
request.
okay,
Yeah. Of the grant request, so the 75,000 for air packs is going to be under the grant, and the information that they gave us
So
was.
that's why I don't remember, because we've swapped them.
yeah,
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 That one gets kicked out, and, the information that we're given,
Right.
and I'll talk about.
but
it
we had
tonight.
both of them
The
in there,
compressor
was
and
the
yeah.
funding
The protective gear.
amount, yes.
Yeah, yeah, I see it here. It's on the recommended by the CIP.
The
Committee.
CIP committee.
The
Yeah.
compressor.
The compressor, right?
So do you want us to move that up to Article 16?
I think it would flow easier for people to understand, so I don't think they've already
Sure.
voted for it.
Okay. Article 25, 25,000 to repair the guardrails,
Mhm.
and that's general taxation. Article 26, so that takes care of all of the town related special warrant articles, and then Article 26 is the Ray Center. This is the language that's recommended by or required by DRA for a non-lapsing appropriation in accordance with that state law. There is, did you check? That is,
Email and voicemail out there.
okay, so we are confirming it, when you look at the language that's on the DRA website, it does include a recommendation from the select board. And I know you guys have talked about leaving your recommendation off. We are checking with DRA to see if that's a required thing by their
Okay,
regulation, so
is any
may
particular,
have to leave
okay.
it in.
Any particular reason for its placement?
No,
Okay.
it can be anywhere if you want to have it right after the bond warrant articles before we start talking about everything else, or whether you want to have it here, that's totally up to you.
Any thoughts?
Is that likely to go to a paper ballot?
Yeah,
I would
So
imagine,
maybe get it
given the
earlier,
history.
yeah,
So if it's gonna be a paper ballot,
Need
it
an
might be
hour.
better to do it earlier.
need an hour, right?
No,
Oh,
no, the
that's
hour
the
is
bond.
only for the bonds.
bonds, right?
The
Oh,
paper ballot is however long it takes the moderator
okay.
to do it.
all right,
okay.
I'd leave it where it is then.
Okay, good. All right, and then Article 27 is our operating budget warrant article.
Okay.
And with everything like this with the use of $200,500 from fund balance.
Mhm.
Would come out to $1.06 as the total increase.
If everything here was
If
approved
everything
as,
here is approved as presented,
including the
including the 90,000 and the 100,000.
So what percentage is that? About 8%, 9%?
It's about 13% in
increase
total.
year on year.
Year over year.
Yeah. Now, do we actually have to have, I don't recall,
And I'll have that number at 6 o'clock.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do we need to go through each article and actually vote on it, or, we're-
I would
the
wait, I
exception
would
of-
wait
yeah,
until
okay.
the 7th,
right,
take all the
all right.
input.
Yep, you read my
Decide if
mind.
you, and then if you don't want to make any changes, we'll have this typed up with your recommendation, and then we'll just
Right,
go
so
down,
after that hearing, we
Yep.
can then run through them.
put
get
in
a-
the numbers.
Put in the numbers.
Yep.
Recommendation.
Yep.
And then by then we'll know about, Article 26.
Right.
What's required for select. board.
Yep.
That sounds fine to me. You guys good?
Yep.
Good, all right. Let's see, new business, so there is no, there was a plan perhaps to have the ski touring venue change, but that is now off the table because
is.
there's not enough time to.
Yep.
To deal with
And
it, right?
So Steve Larkin has been talking to Patrick. And is, setting up the regular on, fairway number 8, I guess it is now, over by the maintenance building, same setup as the last couple of years.
Right,
Parking on the maintenance building side of Boulder Path Road, no parking on the
other side,
other side.
right, I think that was the issue.
Yep.
last year.
And Steve has contacted BBTS for additional parking up in their parking lot if necessary.
To be the best.
What else? We got a detail officer for it.
We'll have a detail officer there.
Anything,
Duration to kind of help with that parking. And
Yeah.
moving people around, so.
and Steve's coordinating with Craig and the resort for the setup of the course. So.
Okay.
Pretty much the same as last year. There will be a food truck.
That's on the 11th,
That is on the
18th,
18th.
18th.
18th February. That's it's the beginning of the Mass School Week.
Mhm.
Yes.
That's a Saturday, yeah.
Sunday,
18th is Sunday.
18th is Sunday.
Anything else on that topic?
Mhm.
Alrighty, joint select board school board meeting. I had an opportunity to talk to the chair of the school board, Mike Fergal. And their preference is to have a meeting sometime mid-late April, the next meeting. That's more of an information thing. And okay, so let's move to the Snows Mountain Road water main break.
We did that already.
We
didn't
did it.
Did we finish everything we needed to say about it?
I think so.
Okay,
Oh, the $20,000 is an error. That invoice was for some work that was done up at the ski mountain for, in preparation of the potential design of the septic system.
Oh, the
Oh,
septic
okay.
system.
Yeah.
Whew,
My fault.
good. Yeah, we'll let you know how much that invoice comes
Alrighty.
through
Yeah.
for.
so for old business, we have land donation officer wastewater project update. Why don't we do the wastewater project update
Sure.
since
Dylan,
keeping
you
everybody here?
Talked about last week.
Yeah, so Thursday we had a kickoff meeting, jointly with town staff and engineering firm. Really. What was that, probably 5 hours?
Yeah, about 5,
That's
6
it.
hours.
Spending a lot of, you know, quality,
Quality time with the
Yeah.
engineers.
a lot of good discussions.
Finally, right?
Talked about Really, everything at length, which gave us good preparation for the meeting that followed that with the state. And that went really well as well. We gained some knowledge out of the state that we didn't have previously as well, that could benefit us
Quite a bit.
greatly. Yeah, they brought to light that we were under the impression previously that things that were considered ongoing operations aren't reimbursable under the Clean Water
CRF.
Revolving Fund.
Right.
And that's not the case. So
Oh,
anything, even if it's considered ongoing operations or current maintenance to the existing facility, that it is reimbursable 20%.
Big deal.
Yeah,
Wow.
so that is huge.
That was a,
That's about a 20% on about $500,000 that we
Yeah.
thought was not eligible
Well,
before,
good.
yes.
yeah,
And that is basically anything that's not a throwaway
Correct.
item, so. You know, obviously chemicals and stuff like that, we can't, but any
Right.
improvements that we make.
One
so-
major, to that point
Yeah.
though, Mark, one major component of that is the lagoons in
Right.
deep water, getting the sludge out of those, which will A, improve operations, but B, it's also a decommissioning cost.
Mhm.
That will be covered, as well as any improvements for the short term that we make to the lagoons to try to enhance operation while we're building the new facility.
right.
But I don't want to bounce all over the place, but there is that, which again, that was probably one of the major part of it that came out from the state side. There's one component we'll talk about later. Trying to recall if there was anything else that was of.
We did talk about the transfer station and solid waste, staff from DES were on the call Friday. They committed, that we are gonna do a permit by notification for this lower
Right,
transfer station. By the end of this month.
okay,
And that'll be submitted with waiver requests, probably for dimensional requirements. But we will be able to set this up as the more permanent site for the total construction period of the new transfer facility. So
Very
we'll do
amazing. Yeah.
we'll do the PBN by the end of this
Mhm.
month, and then we will do an engineered plan by Black and Veatch. Which will lay out like we did the upper transfer station, this lower area. And we are required to have that done by December 1 of this year. So, we have plenty of time to do
that's the same
the
date as we
planning and
have,
work,
yeah.
same date.
Yeah.
So.
So we stay down here.
We stay down here through complete construction and decommissioning. Of the treatment facility, so. And that matches our engineers are happy
Yes.
with the area that they're letting us work in. We can do all of their anticipated construction activities.
Mhm.
So in theory, that saves $1.5 million.
Theory, yes, what,
Well,
minus whatever it costs to put the
Yeah.
permanent fence up
Right,
and,
right.
yeah,
Whatever it costs.
but yes, it's
permit.
gonna be $1 million for sure,
$1 million plus.
$1 million plus, yeah.
The other factor of that is that they told us they're. It's not 100%, so,
Mhm.
it's not definite, but it's likely that they're intending to keep the new facility in the previous location that we expected it to be in.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be up above.
So roughly the same footprint, even if a different looking, a different
Yeah, It
processing,
may be taller, it may be
Yeah.
different a little bit, but in
different
the same
process,
general.
not,
area.
right, not necessarily an
Different
SBR.
process, right,
It's probably a high likelihood that it'll be a different process.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if there was that, one of the big things that they talked about in that meeting was the flows and loads. So how much flow we're getting in the loads is the concentrations of what we're getting. So that's critical because of all the development that's potentially gonna go on in the community. And what they came across was that it was way over calculated previously, and that may allow us to phase our construction. So as an example, they're projecting that our 20-year flow isn't gonna be anywhere close to our max build out, which is 550,000 gallons a day. So that could be a considerable amount of savings in the construction of the facility, because we won't necessarily have to build, we'll have the capability to add on to it if we need to, but we won't have to build it to the maximum capacity to meet permit.
And the prior designs that we had were building trying to build to max.
Right,
capacity.
right, that's 530,
That's great.
750.
That's really good news.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and on top of that, it could also minimize, not a whole lot, but minimize the footprint that it takes up too. By, we're still gonna need to have some room around it to make sure that we have to add on in the future, we can, but, again, that should bring construction costs, so.
And we'll build it modular so that we can plug new components into it as the growth occurs. And we have
Yep.
additional
Yep.
loading requirements.
I
But
think
this
that-
is,
I think just to give you more of a broad view of at least how I interpreted the meeting, and the biggest takeaway is that the town and the engineering firm needs to get a good, strong understanding of what that inflow and infiltration
Mhm.
is.
yeah,
And
Yeah,
we
for this
also
to
need
work.
to get a very good, strong understanding of what's going on with the conceptual plan and the build out for that project. So the firm, at least how I perceived it, for them to move forward, with working with us in the design of this plant, those are the two most critical components that we really need to get a stranglehold on.
and DES did say that the work, because the CMOM is
That we have
the
to,
collection
right.
system is now part of our permit. That a lot of the work
Oh,
that we
that'll
would
be-
do may be reimbursable
Maybe.
as well under the SRF. So a lot of the stuff that we were looking at potentially 5 or 10 years out, paying for 100%, we can do sooner and we can be reimbursed.
Partially
by
reimbursed.
original.
And just to elaborate, inflow and infiltration, I is stormwater and groundwater infiltrating into the
Mhm.
collection system.
Right.
So, and the reason why that's significant is right now, our estimates, at least my estimates from what we see, where our loads are affected by, it, I'm estimating on an annual basis, somewhere around 30 to 40% is rainwater that we're treating.
Wow.
Why that's significant, if we could shave 20% off of that, that's huge.
Yep.
That
It affects our loading
Oh.
and.
So that moves it to the front of the line, so to speak.
Yeah, we're gonna be
Doing the
doing a
work to
lot,
figure that out.
we're gonna start a lot of that work this year.
Mhm,
And it can help us with savings in the design
mhm.
parameters and the actual size of the plant and everything else, so.
Yeah, it seemed critical.
Yeah. So it was very good to hear the DES folks were supportive of getting that work done early.
So if the distribution system collection system is part of it, is there a possibility of Snows Mountain Road?
No.
So
Not new, it can't be an addition onto the system, it has to be our existing.
Right.
Well, but it sounds like it's possible that we might have money in the 42 million,
It's
even
not.
if it's not reimbursable.
That might be a question for legal, because I don't know how that's spelled out.
Yeah, we did say
Sure.
the
In the warrant.
collection
Yeah.
system. We did say that the collection system was one of the possible uses. For the 42 million, so. It is possible, we would just have to get a legal opinion.
You might be able to just do a separate warrant item that says we
Gain
want to
the
move,
purpose,
we want to
yes,
move $2 million from
exactly,
Right,
Yeah.
42
yeah,
to
yeah.
this.
right. Once we get the
Once we
engineering,
get the
the
engineering.
engineering
Yeah.
study done
Amendment
this
of the
year.
Language of the existing.
Yeah, you can have like he said, another warrant article that
Yeah.
just changes the purpose,
Okay.
it is possible.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the case, then.
We may have some savings we
And
can
I don't
use from
even,
that.
we may not even have to do that, I
Yeah.
mean, the authorization already may be there.
Right. we'll
We
check on
would-
that.
We would tell town meeting if
Right.
we're gonna make that kind of a change.
The only other, somewhat critical component that could impact this. We also brought them into the mix on the septic system. So they're gonna be giving, our consultant on that as well, which is big because they have tons of experience with sensitive areas, across the country. National forests, national parks, all of that. And the resources that they have are, reach much further than what we have at hand. So
Yeah.
that's gonna be critical too.
Yeah, and I think the combination of them and Bill and his
Yes.
connections with the
Yeah,
White
that's-
Mountains
Yeah.
is gonna be a big deal.
That's good.
So,
Yeah, I just,
and so our track on that is to continue with our application for the fall for the
Right.
small project.
small projects and
Okay.
as we want to do it,
Yeah.
not the
As we want to do.
replace the
And
lines.
so we'll be working with Black and Veatch for that. That may be some amendments. Dylan's doing a
Alright.
great job on this. So that may be some amendments to their scope of work,
Okay,
because we're
Right.
adding.
it
some
wasn't,
pieces.
yeah, that
It's
wasn't
not in our original,
fine.
but it's gonna save us a lot
in
in.
the end anyway.
long
What
So-
about, no, go ahead.
So given the transfer station discussion we just had,
Mhm.
and the eyesore
Yeah.
on Tecumseh Road, should we consider some plantings this year?
Well, the
Where we
cleared
plant the
area, I mean,
trees.
was that gonna be a lay down
Oh,
area or?
That, actually, we may, Black and Veatch has looked at that, and that may be a contractor access point.
Mhm.
So we may actually build the road from Tecumseh to the drying bed.
Right,
So that whoever builds the treatment facility has that area to work with. So
Same thing as the
we
transfer
already,
station.
we already have permits in place for that.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of building it,
Yeah.
so.
Just keep in mind, because of how tight this area is around the
Sure.
transportation, where that's gonna be.
Yeah.
What we had talked about in that meeting was potentially having that road still being built, then rebuilding the road between the lagoons.
Between the
so it's an actual
lagoons.
Travel road, not just an
Yeah.
access
Mhm.
road. So it can support construction equipment,
right,
and
I
that's.
said big trucks.
yeah, well, I mean, it has to
Yeah.
be somewhere because the reason we were moving from down here was this was gonna be a lay down area.
Right,
So
exactly.
that's gonna basically,
Well, so we're flip.
we're flip flopping, but in the end, I mean, at some point, yeah, we'll have to figure out.
Well, if
What to
we
do.
build that road, it will
Right.
be landscaped when we
Yeah.
build
Yes.
the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure that there'll still be a lot of claimants
Mhm.
on the use of that land, but that's again a discussion for another time,
Yeah.
yeah, still.
Okay,
You have a question?
Yeah, oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, just wondering if that means that building the road and everything would fall under the CRF then, so we'd get some,
I think. it will-
I think it would.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's, can
Well,
we go
it
back to
was-
like clearing the trees and everything?
No. We might be able to, but maybe not.
Mm.
But
Okay.
the building of that road
Yeah,
and actually that upper site
Mhm.
was gonna be reimbursable.
oh, it was.
That
originally-
wasn't on our
Oh,
dime.
okay.
It-
Mhm.
But like Bob pointed out, those are costs that have basically gone away,
Right,
right? I mean, so we've reduced the scope of the project a little bit.
Mhm.
Good.
By doing this.
It will be an interesting discussion
Good.
several
those are
years from
some
now.
good, that's great feedback, that's.
Yeah, that's great. How about,
Oh, one more thing. Well, before we get off the treatment
right,
facility.
no, I had a question too, but go ahead. No, just on
about-
TSS.
Go ahead. Answer
We
that.
can talk about that.
Yeah,
Okay,
we'll talk about that
Okay.
later.
okay,
Financial update on the project, on the CWSRF. We had a discussion with Kathy Beret, who's the manager of the program
state,
at the state level. We are gonna be getting an application which needs to be on the agenda for the 15th of February
mm-hmm,
for $6 million. Okay, to be added to the 4 million that we've already been approved on.
right,
It will be at the same interest rate and term, so it'll be a 20-year loan at 2.536 or something like that. And that will give us $10 million in state SRF money. Plus, we have what, about 400,000 left from the ARPA money. 550, so we have a lot of money left with ARPA. Right, and then we have $1 million, which was the town non-reimbursable account. Right, so we would have a total of 11.5 million remaining to get the project started. So
Right.
that'll get us engineering absolutely complete, get us into a construction contract and start funding that construction contract before we go back to the state SRF for any more money.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, that's
and
great.
as long as we leave the term at 20 years, right, then the 2.536, whatever the interest rate is,
Mhm.
that stays in place unless it goes down. So that would be our max. Now, if we want to extend that to a 30-year loan, we have to take the prevailing rate at that time. But as long as we keep the agreement at 20 years, it's just gonna be an amendment. It's just gonna.
Every
be
time we
added.
wanna,
Anytime we
wanna
wanna
add,
add on.
add on money.
And
right.
just
So-
as an example, I think current rate was 3.8.
The 2.8,
Current was, I think.
oh, current rate was 3.8
Yeah.
because the interest rates had gone up.
Like, if
Right.
if we were to go to a 30-year.
Yeah.
We would definitely, yeah,
And that
So-
clock starts when the plant is completed, correct?
When, yes, when the
The pay-
loan is
right.
closed out, the plant's operating, we've done all
start
the
paying.
decommissioning or whatever, then we start that time period. So if interest rates go back down, we can just wait and we can renegotiate it at that time. So, I think we're in a pretty favorable position with the decisions on Friday and the fact that we can extend another 6
Excellent.
million.
Yeah,
And I would anticipate that probably we wouldn't go back to the state SRF until this time in 26. Because then we'll probably have a contract number that we know,
Mhm.
right, for the actual
Construction.
construction.
Mhm.
And then we can add on to it. So
Good,
I thought that was good news too.
Yeah.
Good,
all right.
okay.
Anything
Yeah.
else on
Yes. Yeah.
wastewater? Okay, and yeah, we can talk about that stuff. Land donation.
Yeah, so, Monadnock Engineering is trying to get information from state DES regarding because they have to do the file background check. They probably another 6 or 7 days before they will get a date from DES to go in and look at the file. Who knows? And then once he does that, he'll be ready to do the level 1 report for us.
So we should
He
have
thinks
something
he
maybe.
knows. I talked
Next
to him
meeting.
about the 15th and
Mhm.
he said he thought that he would be able to get that.
Is David all right with the level 1?
David is all right with the level 1. Yeah,
And then we'll get back to him after that.
yeah.
And he's given us first option, it sounds like.
He is.
Well, let's see what the level 1.
Yep.
Doesn't turn up, I hope. Anything else we want to say about that and at this time? Okay. Wastewater we did. Town hall meeting room name, I just wanted to add this to, I think I've already had
Did
some
you share
names
the
throughout. No, I haven't,
Share the picture. I
share the
came up
pic-
with some
Kim
good names.
I was going to recommend that we, like we did in the past on another issue, we asked the Historic Society
Sure, absolutely.
to see what they thought. What would be a good name for this room?
For this room,
Yeah, so if you guys agree, I'll ask them. I'll share the names that you passed along to
I
me.
just went through the town at the end of the road book.
oh,
and
yeah,
Yeah,
Put a bunch of names down.
yeah, well, I'm thinking of something, my own druthers would be something either hiking related or related to previous selectmen or other somebody who's had a real impact
Mhm.
from a political standpoint, policy standpoint, I should say.
Mhm.
All right, so I'll ask Reggie.
Yeah.
And just trundle along, there's no hurry.
We ask them to give us 2 or 3 options or something, or
Yeah,
rather than just give us one
yeah.
figure for
Is that my
complete.
list?
Right.
Come on, I got a lot of good
I
notes
added
on
one.
it. You added one,
Right.
yeah. okay.
Photo again.
No, no,
No, it's
absolutely not.
the wastewater treatment facility, I think, is where Mark wants to go, but yeah, no, when I talk to Reggie, I say, throw some names our way that we can consider, and
Yeah.
if she wants to come in and say why they thought this name, that
Yeah.
name, you know, why they did it, so.
I'd rather not have to give one that they said, this is the absolute one.
Right, if
Yeah.
we don't agree,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, okay, all right, I will talk to Reggie about that.
Sometimes you get stuck, you know,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Steamboat, Colorado, they had to name the bridge contest, and the
Oh,
one that
contest.
won was the James Brown King of Soul Bridge.
Oh,
That's what the people of town voted for.
sounds okay to me.
Town named the Salt Trucks.
So what-
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
there is a lot of really cool stuff like that, naming the salt.
delete.
Oh,
Salt.
Right.
it's just like naming a B-17 and a B-24.
Yeah, but we'll keep the art a little.
I was gonna
less
say, but the
racy.
art would have to be changed somewhat.
Yeah,
Different
No problem.
times, different period,
yeah,
different history, and
yeah,
history is a foreign country.
yep. I guess.
Okay.
Just, public, before we go to non-public,
Mm-hmm.
I have held this on purpose. Because this is the cost estimate to implement the dredging plan that we looked at.
Oh, yeah,
I want to make sure we have public safety around with AEDs before I show this to you.
Is the dredging of the pond?
This is the dredging of the pond.
you're
So-
really bobbing and weaving here.
I am, only because I don't get
Right.
excited.
But this was the report,
But
just
this
for the
is the
context that we
report
asked our town
that
engineers to
We did,
give us a harder number and some options for the cost of
Yeah.
dredging.
and there's a lot of.
Which we put
detail
off
in
from-
here.
The number we put off
Correct.
requesting this year.
Yeah.
Because we wanted to get this report. Right. And
Yeah.
so we have the report.
So we have the report and there are 6 options on here, 3 that are excavating with equipment in the pond, draining the whole thing and all that. And then there are 3 that are a hydraulic dredging, which is a floating dredge and leaves some water in the pond. So the prices range from 2 million to $5 million for the 6 options.
So we were only a little off with the 700.
Sorry. You need.
All that money you thought we were
AEDs?
saving on the wastewater treatment facility, guess where it's going?
Well, now, okay, so those, yes, those are the numbers on this
So-
piece of paper, but
Okay.
there's a breakdown of the numbers.
So,
I have called the engineers, talked to both of the engineers who signed this and said, you know, obviously, $2 to $5 million is not
Yeah.
doable.
Yeah.
There are options, we can scale it back, it is to go to a full depth that's shown on that plan,
20 some odd
20
feet.
some odd feet.
Yeah.
We can make it shallower, there are a lot of different things that we can do, which I think this just speaks to the additional money for additional engineering, because we need to take some time this summer and actually walk the site with them and talk to them about what we want,
With them or
Okay.
with other engineers?
or with other engineers.
I mean,
No, either
Yeah,
way,
yeah.
right? But I will send this to you, give you a hard copy, whatever you want. We can add it to the agenda for next week. But these are the initial numbers that we got
Okay.
back from them. And the options are, you know, if there's a dry staging area within a mile of the pond,
mhm.
as opposed to 2 to 5 miles from the pond. And then wet loading, right, which is putting slop into the trucks. That's obviously the highest cost because it's the heaviest weight.
Oh, the
and costs the
water,
most on trucking. So, and then you have the hydraulic dredging with those three options.
Mm.
The bottom line is hydraulic dredging is twice as expensive as dry dredging.
Sure.
So that's a major consideration. And I think that's gonna be the case however we do it. If we try to keep the water in the pond to do the dredging, it's gonna double the cost. So,
That's an easy decision.
well, but
From a
but
fiscal
even,
sense, not
even the
from a-
wet, remember, we talked
Right.
a little bit about that, even the wet
Right.
dredging, the hydraulic dredging,
Still lower.
still,
It's still not usable.
right, it's not
Right.
usable for a recreation standpoint.
What's the time,
Hold on, guys.
what's the time impact of all these different scenarios?
Well, the fully excavating, going in, draining the pond and excavating is an entire construction season,
Okay,
like we did in 2009.
right, and that's the less expensive.
That's
route.
the half amount.
Okay,
yeah.
and then and how long is it for the other one?
They don't know, I can't tell you, they don't know.
Is it
It-
definitely less time?
It's definitely less time because there's less permitting required because you don't have to divert the stream, right? So a lot of the cost is diverting Snow's Brook around the excavation area. However, it's not usable for recreation while they're doing the
Sure,
dredging.
but it
So
could be
it's
that the
still-
project could take 2 months versus.
Oh, yeah, no,
3 months.
I have not talked in that
Yeah,
level
I
of
think-
detail.
Cause I think that's an important, I mean.
Yep.
I don't.
It is.
Big number. but
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Rent
important
a
to
lot of
know
boats.
what the impact would be for the whole town, because it's not just gonna be
No,
for the
yeah.
boat.
No, no,
gonna
it's
be for
not.
the whole
It
group.
is.
We're Gonna have an interest in getting it done in a shorter period of time.
Yeah.
At a cost that the taxpayers will be comfortable with.
Well, yeah, I know, that's the thing, yeah, but maybe other
And-
entities will get more involved because the timing.
Perhaps,
And
and
so,
that's something we do need to look at, absolutely.
yeah, and anyway, we can continue.
Yeah, so
the
you're gonna, why
discussion
don't you,
later.
I'm fine if you just wanna, you got that
I
electronically?
do, so
I'll
send it to
I'll
you.
take an electronic copy. You
Yeah.
want a paper or electronic?
Yeah, but don't send it to me on WinDoc or whatever the hell that is. I can never open anything on my computer.
The
Still haven't
PDFs?
fixed that? Can't open the PDF?
You
No,
can't open?
I can't on
I
my
don't send
iPad,
them
I
as
can, on my other,
WinDoc, I-
on my laptop, I can't, I mean, my
Desktop?
desktop I can, but not on my
Okay.
iPad, but.
We'll have to
No, send it
figure
to
out
me
how
anyway,
to send it.
I'll get it. It's
I
all right.
can send it to you. Do you open Word documents
Yeah.
easily? Okay, I'll send it. Oh, no, it came as a PDF. I might be able to transfer it, but we'll see.
Right.
Anyway.
Um,
So you want us to
Yeah.
look at this,
and then talk about it some more at the next,
Just
at
give
the
me,
meeting.
give me a hard copy.
on 6?
Yeah.
Okay,
I-
on 6, right.
Give you this
right.
copy.
And what's the decision that will be needed from the board? The first decision, I
The
should say?
first decision is supporting the 35,000 for additional engineering.
Okay, right, so maybe we
That's the
should,
first.
and that's
step.
something we should
Right,
perhaps be prepared to,
defend at the budget hearing, which is the next day. Right, and then we'll have an amount from what's remaining from the money this year that can get added to the 35,000. And then decide whether we want to continue with Horizons, whether we want to get another engineering firm, but that would be after town meeting appropriates some money.
okay?
Okay.
And this is, oh, they still look at a timeline of 26, 27?
We still have it in the plan for 26.
26.
I don't think the construction documents, the final engineering, it's gonna be mostly waiting for DES permits and stuff.
Right,
So,
but still looking at the summer of 26 as,
well, depending
Yeah.
on the resort and their
Right.
construction
and what they're planning to do. and all.
schedule and everything else.
Certainly not gonna be
26, 27,
25.
It won't be 25,
Right.
I don't think.
So we're looking 26, 27.
Yeah.
Trying to align all these different factors. Okay,
We just keep adding cubic yards of material in there the longer we wait.
Oh,
So
yeah,
that's gonna
no, no,
Yeah.
I mean, that's definitely a consideration.
Yeah.
Seems to me depth is really one of those controlling factors too.
Well, and remember,
Cost-wise.
they also designed that because they want to improve the water quality. So they're taking, we are seeing the pond being closed more than we ever had.
Sure, yes.
Right, because of bacteria.
Yeah.
And so
Even
they're
in a
trying
rainy summer.
to increase, they're trying to increase the depth of
Right.
the pond to address the quality,
Yeah.
water quality.
And when is the remediation starting for this stream?
It better be starting
This year,
this year, this summer.
that's the
the
money,
plan.
that, right?
That's our money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But that's not gonna have a great impact,
no, not now,
Right.
but in theory.
We
going
still gotta
forward.
remove what's there,
Yes, no, absolutely,
Mhm, mhm.
but
Anyway,
maybe,
right. in the
maybe
fund,
it
right.
will help remediate in the future.
right.
That's the idea, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll add that to the agenda, and we have our weekend homework. Sure, it's a thrilling
Are
read.
you okay to give me this hard copy?
Yeah.
Alrighty, any board concerns and directives? None? Correspondence, do you want to deal with? Correspondence, I think there's been some, but do you want to deal with that as separate?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that is it, unless anybody has anything else they'd like to bring up in public session. I will entertain the motion to move to non-public.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?